Scope of historical research. History embraces the entire field of human past and is as broad as life itself. Our human past includes many areas of social experiences and activities that frequently have proved more significant than political history or military campaigns, for example, culture, ideals, institutions, law, religion, literature, art, travel, engineering, industry, technology, medicine, science, philosophy, economics, education, psychology, anthropology, and sociology. There is general agreement among modern historians concerning the richness of the content of history, including social, cultural, economic, and intellectual developments, and on a broad view of past events extending far beyond the study of politics, diplomatic, constitutions, and war materials. Good, 116. When undertaking a historical study, a scholar engages in some activities that are common to all investigation, but the nature of his subject matter presents him with some peculiar problem and requires him to apply some special standards and techniques. Formulation of problem for historical research. The selection and development of the problem for study is the first step in the historical research. The beginner in this respect chooses too broad a topic. Good, 124. The experienced historian realizes that the historical research must be confined to a penetrating analysis of a limited problem, rather than involve only a superficial examination of a broad area. The weapon of research is the rifle, not the shotgun. Best, 102. Historical inquiry begins when some event, development, or experience of the past is questioned. Sometimes the historian discovers new source material, the meaning of which, when interpreted, will provide answers about past events. Sometimes he questions an old interpretation of existing data and devises a new hypothesis that will provide a more satisfactory explanation of past events. Begin thug with a rather general, diffused, or even confused notion of the problem. He isolates one by one the crucial points that gave rise to his initial doubts or concerns about gaps in knowledge, and that formulates a simple, complete description of the problem. Before proceeding further, he checks whether this problem is answerable by available methods of inquiry and by the available sources of data. In brief, the historical research, like any scientific inquiry, stems from a problematic situation which starts the investigator on his quest for its solution. Historical research and historiography involves three major steps, processes or aspects. Collection of data, with consideration of sources of documents, and remains or relies as primary and secondary. Discussed in detail in pairs 5.1 to 5.6. 2. Criticism of data, including the process of external criticism, questions to authorship, time, place, genuineness, and actual language or text of the original document, and the process of internal criticism, questions of accuracy and value of statements made. Discussed in detail in paras 6.1 to 6.4. 3. Presentation of facts in readable narrative form, including problems of organization. Composition, exposition, and LNT Proa 1, GU and 121. Some hints in this regard are given in Para 8. Historical sources. A large number of historical sources are used in research. These sources have been classified in a number of ways. Some of these classifications are given below. 5.1 Classification Number 1. A classification of sources appropriate for history as well as other social fields is as follows. I. Physical remains, historic sites, roads, pyramids, fortifications, buildings, furniture. 2. Human remains, clothing, food, utensils, pottery, implements, weapons, machinery, industrial processes, fine arts, and museum pieces of many kinds. B. Orally transmitted material, folklore, legends, ballads, tales, anecdotes, traditions, customs, manners, burials, ceremonials, social institutions, and languages. C. More elementary and durable kinds of representative or artistic materials not written in the ordinary sense, such as inscriptions baked upon clay, stones, monuments, stamped coins, vases, portrait sculptures, historic paintings, and portraits. D. Handwritten material, sometimes in print, including papyri, vellum or parchment manuscripts and such more recent documents as biographies and diaries. E. Printed books, papers, and literature. Action picture film, microfilm and recordings, including radio and television. F. Personal observation by the writer or by the people he interviewed. Good 122-23. 5.2 Classification Number 2. Another classification of historical sources is comparatively simpler, i.e. documents and remains or relics or the records kept and written by actual participants in or witnesses of an event. These sources are produced for the purpose of forwarding information to be used in future. Documents. Documents are the reports of events consisting of impressions made on some human brain by past events and consciously or deliberately recorded for the purpose of transmitting information. The observer's eyewitness impression of the event is illustrated by such documents as the opinion of a judge, minutes prepared by the secretary of a board of education, a superintendent's annual report, the director's report of a school survey, a college catalog prepared by a dean or a course of study developed by the chairman of a particular curriculum committee. Remain, or relics are physical objects produced without the conscious intention of imparting connected information. Through documentary S6 one sees not the event of the past, but what the eyewitness thought. The act was in remains and relics. One sees the actual objects as handed down from the past. Sometimes man more nearly reveals the truth unconsciously through these physical objects or remains than through the documents that he deliberately records. The difference between the documents and remains can be clarified with the help of an example. A school master may write, in his annual report or diary, about the human and kindly methods of discipline employed. These reports or diaries will serve as the documents. The remains or the relics will be the actual devices used by the teacher for the physical punishment. These may include the whip or the ruler, etc. Their remains may reveal the truth or the inaccuracy of the documentary source. A list of these sources, i.e. documents and remains, used in educational history is presented below. Documents A. Legislative acts such as constitutions, laws, charters. B. Court decisions. C. Executive and other official records. I. Proceedings of administrative officers and bodies. Minutes of the Board of Education. Reports and orders of principals. Reports of committees, including recommendations for executive actions. Systems of student records and salary lists. 2. Proceedings of deliberative bodies such as University Academic Staff Association, Pakistan Lecturers Association, Anjumani Fazilin, Tanzim-e-Asatiza, Pakistan. 3. Reports of commissions such as Report of the Commission on National Education 1959, Nur Khan's Proposals for a New Education Policy 1969. The New Educational Policy 1972-80, National Education Policy 1978, the documents on education in 89 and thereafter if any. 4. Reports of school surveys. V. Courses of studies and curricula outlines. 6. Catalogs, prospectuses, advertisements. D. In newspapers and periodicals. I. Articles. 2. New notices. 3. Advertisements. E. Personal materials. I. Autobiographies, memoirs, and biographies. 2. Histories written by actors in the events narrated. 3. Letters. 4. Legal instructions executed by individuals in personal capacity, wills, contracts, and deed. v. Legal instructions conferring powers upon individuals, for example, certificates. 6. Lecture notes. 5.3 Classification Number 3. Under this system, all sources for the collection of data are classified as primary or secondary. The definitions of primary and secondary sources are as follows. A. Primary sources. Primary sources for the collection of data are the original documents or remains, the first witness to the event, with only the mind of observer or eyewitness coming between the original event or the user of the source. Good. 126. They are the eyewitness accounts. They are reported by an actual observer of participant in an event. Best. 102. B. Secondary sources. Secondary sources are accounts of an event that were not witnessed by the reporter. He may have T1 kilometer with the actual observer or read an account written by an observer, but his testimony is not that of an actual participant or observer. Best. 82. The writer of the secondary source was not on the scene of the event but surely reports what the person who was there said or wrote.